to the next, the implication of the proposed reduction on the RMLF for this current year and the next. I think, Chairman, before I answer this, it's good that I also give the holistic proposals that I have, so that as I answer the remaining two, we can have that context. So if you look at the pricing of, so go to diesel, it's around 67 shillings. That is taxes and levies. But also there are margins of 17 shillings, profit margins for importers in the submissions. The third question was the proposed impact of the proposal on the road maintenance, financing, and infrastructure development in Kenya. Honorable Chair, the proposal would depend on how we treat it as this committee and the finance committee. In my holistic consideration, my consideration is that any cut in the budget, any cut in the revenue side, out of the proposed measures, instead of adjusting the specific budgets of the specific sector, we go to the expenditure side and look at where we can get some retro fat in the budget so that we work around it there. So the impact may not necessarily be on roads. On RMLF, it may be of the 7 shillings. But you know, Chair and members, the budget for roads is majorly in 3 forms. One is what we call domestically funded. It's usually like a third or thereabout. The second one is externally funded. We used to call it development partners budgets, which also by that time accounting for like a third or so. And then the third part is what we call recurrent. And recurrent is what we actually call RMLF in cumulative. So the budget then comes in 3 streams. If we squeeze in one stream, it can be the wisdom of this committee to actually expand either of the other 2 streams because they are predominantly a domain of this committee. So we can choose. If we want to reduce the budget of road maintenance by 7 shillings, we can still recover the same money through the domestically funded budget of the same road sector budget. 4, the impact of the proposed pronouncement of the 10 shillings. This one has 2 ramifications depending on how we understand it and how I understood it. The reduction that was announced of 10 shillings in Mombasa was not clear whether it is the sustaining of the 10 shillings that is in force now, as it was announced in Nairobi after the meeting with stakeholders, or it's an additional 10. So if it's the current 10, therefore it means we'll just be sustaining the interventions that are there currently. And if it's the additional 10, it means we'll be requiring to fetch in 2.4 billion Kenya shillings from the Fuel Stabilization Fund, working with 240 million liters of diesel per month. The fifth one, which I think is the last one, is any proposed alternative on the revenue-raising measures. Chairman and committee members, this is 2-pronged also. The current proposals will be needing approximately a funding of 9.8 billion, all of them. So in 8 months, it will come to approximately 60. But because I also did some analysis in terms of when there are shocks, the behavior of the supply side vis-a-vis the behavior of the demand side. And it was obvious that when there are supply shocks in on the side of supply, on the side of fuel, most of the time, definitely, there is also a shock of demand. Shock of demand meaning the current consumption of 240 million liters of diesel is based on a good day. But you are not in a good day currently in terms of pricing. So if you do the graph of all the other of all the other times you have disruptions, you realize that also demand goes down. So I'm working approximately at the actual money spent at around 48 to 50 billion Kenya shillings. Therefore, the way I'm talking about, the explanation of two-prong is in this way. One, we may decide to cut the revenue side. And therefore, cutting the revenue side, to balance the budget, then we cut the expenditure side. And that is why I think I was, the clerk saw it fit that I appear before the budget committee and not just the finance committee alone. So that's one. The second thing is that the country may decide to input this as part of the deficit. That's another thing. The other thing is that we may decide just to cut the size of our shirt according to the size of the cloth. And maybe that is why I'm here. So all that balancing, what I have done is to look at areas we can actually cut the fat so that the budget balances. So that as we cut the revenue side by the amount of around 48 to 50 billion, then on the other side, we may have commensurate cuts in terms of the expenditure. And the expenditure I'm proposing is the expenditure that does not harm service delivery to Kenyans in any way. And some of those items that I am proposing is the cut in the travel budget across the board in terms of the entire government meaning all the three arms, parliament, judiciary, and the executive. That's one. The second thing is to target areas in the budget where we have seen abnormal increments in this financial year. And those areas, if you permit, I'll be giving them explicitly. Areas we have seen increment of budget, let's say by 20% within one financial year. That can be an area where people can also get in some recoveries. And also, lastly, is the budget of operations and maintenance, which I've been able to pinpoint specific areas where we can go into if that is permitted. Thank you very much. I submit.
Yes. When you are the chair of the budget committee, the VAT on fuel was 16%. Now it is 8%. And you want to propose that it moves to 0%. These innovative ideas, why didn't you use them when you are the chairman and bring them up when you are the chairman at that time when it was 16%? Secondly, Chair, in these areas which you have mentioned that they have witnessed abnormal increments, were these increments in the various sectors, were they there when you are the chairman? Or you've just noticed them when you are not the chairman? Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Honorable Chairman, thank you. I want to thank the Honorable Ndindi for finding time to come and appear before this committee. All of us are here members of Parliament, and we understand the constitutional role of the Member of Parliament is legislation, oversight, budget making, and representation. These are very important, generalized suggestions. Have you thought of contextualizing the same into a bill that will go through the legal, public, administrative, parliamentary stages, because you can see some of the things that you're suggesting is not something that can be done through a roadside declaration. Two, and maybe these I expect either yes or no, you're also aware that the budget making process, first and foremost, is constitutional. Two, just like all over the world, and Kenya being part of the civilized world, it's also political. Three, it's also driven by party manifestos. But that party manifesto, again, does not limit, because you can also have an alternative. That's why in other civilized world, we have the alternative position on anything that the party in power also says. And fourth, and more fundamentally, is public driven. Some of us are privileged. I've known you as even when you worked with Honorable Irungo Kangata. I've known you as a member of Parliament. I've interacted with you as the chair of this committee. In the Kenyan scenario, Chairman, and this is the most unfortunate part, we speak from both sides, depending on where we are at that particular time. And that's why we are not doing well as a country. What is missing is the consistency, honesty, people-driven, people tailor-made policy pronouncement. We change. It's like weather. Today, because I am here politically and this is convenient, I just want to circumvent all the other process and say, this is what I think. Because all of us here have taken an oath to stand and protect, and even say project the image of this Premier Republic. That's why I've taken an oath of office as a member of Parliament for Elders. So I want to ask my good friend here, these suggestions are very good, but you also remember, this is not the first time that when this crisis, this is my last part, this crisis was there immediately after the election. And you are privileged to have been the chairman of this very important committee. And this is not going to be again the last challenge. I'm sure the world is very dynamic. The whole international environment is, climate is convoluted, and therefore we are likely, we may be through with the Iranian, American, Middle East challenges, but that might be again route to something else. What are the differences at that time in terms of you as the chair then, and right now being the chair emeritus, and the circumstances immediately after the countdown of 2022, and the circumstances right now during this war, vis-a-vis these proposals? Thank you, Chairman.
Members,
I would like something.
Chairman, I just want to allow members to ask, then you just respond. Would you not want to take all the questions and respond at the end?
Chairman, I'm just requesting for your indulgence.
Yes.
Because I'm a human being, and I want to give the best answers for the questions.
Yes.
Let's not take more than 4 in terms of routes. That's my observation.
Okay, so we have taken 2, eh? So let me have Vice.
Let's be constrained.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, this fuel crisis is not just affecting Kenya; it's affecting the whole world due to the war in Middle East between the U.S. and Iran. Would you be able to tell us which other country you have benchmarked your proposals from? Because this is happening worldwide, and me, I'm a doctor, I'm not an economist, but I would want to understand where else have you benchmarked these proposals that you are coming up with and it is working. Secondly, on the reduction of the 7 shilling fuel levy, you understand that this is on the road maintenance levy. You understand that we have 7 shillings for the securitization on the infrastructure fund. Could you be having other motives that you are targeting that infrastructure fund so that the government is not able to deliver on its infrastructure. And lastly, the president pronounced himself after meeting with the team that we'll have a reduction in the next cycle by the April of 10 shillings. But there was this other reduction which was agreed between the transporters of 10 shillings. You made a statement that it seems it's not very clear. But as a layman, when I go to the petrol station, I'm able now to put fuel into my car diesel at 232. Initially, it had gone to 242. So how do you understand that 10 shillings reduction? Is it not happening, or you seem not to have a very clear understanding of that reduction? Because I think there are two reductions. One will occur in the next cycle, and this other one occurred instantly when the team met and agreed to suspend this, to stop the strike. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Nyakudi, you're the last, then the Ndindi can respond.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, my brother, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, for your presentation. First of all, most of the proposals, I think, should come from Parliament as bills from what I've gone through. Number two, my brother, the Vice Chair, has spoken about it. The 7 shillings that you want reduced from RMLF. When you were the chairman here, we had an issue of stalled roads that we could not be able to get funding for. Out of wisdom from other sources or other people, we were able to securitize that money and were able to pay pending bills, and the roads that had stalled were able to be done, and new roads are currently being done because of the securitization that some wise people somewhere sat down and thought about it. When you say we reduce that money, you want to tell us, you want us to go back to where we were when you were the chairman of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Lastly, you have spoken about the confidential vote. This confidential vote has assisted this country.
Honorable Nyakudi, I don't think Ndindi has spoken about.
Okay, just let me leave it at that. On the RMLF, I don't think we should go that way as a committee or as Parliament, because the securitization has helped us in supporting all the stalled roads and started new roads. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Ndindi, you can respond quickly, then we can take the second phase of questions.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I will start with the Honorable Chikati. Honorable Chikati, as you are all aware, being a member of this committee, economies are dynamic. I've been consistent on what needs to be done when it comes to such a time like this. Because you asked, the VAT was 16 then, it is now 8, and I'm proposing we take it to 0. It's actually not the first time Kenya is having a tax exempt in terms of fuel prices. Before it was 8 before, it was actually 0. But this is the reasoning, Honorable Chikati. The reasoning is that global oil prices, just the economic parameters, are dynamic. That time, we have had a summer in terms of fuel prices globally, averaging $60 per barrel. Now we are talking about, today it was $90 per barrel. But previously it has been $100 per barrel. And if you look at my proposal, the more the reasoning that this is for in the intervening period of 6 months. So, even when you want to bring the issue of having been chairman of budget, it is always, or it is important, you contextualize that through facts. The second thing, you asked, and now attaching the same question to Honorable Kainan, what did you do then? Because this was purely, the questions is majorly about, you are chairman of budget, what did you do? I'm very proud of the interventions that we did. When I came in, the first business that we had in this committee was actually the appropriation of 45 billion Kenya shillings in fuel subsidies. So I walked the talk then. I am walking the talk now. It is this committee that did it. Honorable Chikati, you are part of this committee. It's not my responsibility to remind you of what we did. Honorable Keinan talked about, again, about why not do it as a bill. When we have proposals like this, Honorable Keinan, and you know I respect you a lot, and thank you for even the demeanor at which you answered the question. We write proposals to Parliament. It's usually upon the wisdom of the bureaucracy of Parliament to choose the path. When I wrote the proposals, my intention was actually for a bill, but the bureaucracy of Parliament thought it would take long. The turnaround time of a private member's bill will be talking by December, so it will not be helpful at the moment. So that is why the clerk actually called me and requested that we do this process using this current scenario. And on the other one of why now, and he talked about consistency. I think I have exhibited consistency. When fuel prices were up in the year 2022, my clips are all around, when I was calling for the then government to reduce fuel prices, specifically for such reasons like this. And they went ahead and did it. So I've been consistent on that. And in fact, you never find anywhere I have been a proponent of higher oil prices. Nowhere. And even if you found one, it can only be AI generated. So in terms of then consistency, we allocated for subsidy then when I was chairman. I'm calling for subsidies now when I am not. We appropriated that money because we thought it was important that we reduce fuel prices then, and it is still my intention even now that we reduce fuel prices. The Vice Chair, Honorable Pukose, the first thing was about fuel prices and which countries I have benchmarked in terms of the interventions. And I'll try to be very civil in my, don't take my word as the demeanor. It's only that I don't have more other words to replace with those. As a member of Parliament in Kenya, my ambition should be for other countries to benchmark with Kenya. It should not be for me to benchmark with other countries. So I'm doing this because it is right for Kenya. I was elected as a member of Parliament to sit in the National Assembly of Kenya. And one of the duties is not to benchmark with any other country. It is to make our country a model so that other countries can benchmark with us. And that is why I have brought forth the proposals which are objective. But if you ask the question subjectively, I also reserve the right to answer it subjectively. On numbers, the Kenya shilling 7 for RMLF.
Honorable Ndindi,
Yes.
I didn't want to disrupt you, but you know you are appearing before us with proposals for us to consider so that we come up with a legislation that is helpful to the economy. So I would propose that you don't display arrogance to the members' questions. Just propose these solutions, then we will. At the end of the day, this committee is supposed to, adopt your resolutions, which will be good for the economy. But if you begin to, talk down the members, then it means you are not expecting these members to adopt your resolutions. I think spend more time persuading members. They will be able to, adopt your resolutions for the sake of the economy. Please proceed.
Chairman, I'm well guided, and if you note the way I answered Honorable Keinan, it is exactly the same way he asked the question. If you replay the question of the Honorable Member I'm replying with the exact same demeanor. So, going to the issue of RMLF of 7 shillings, and the Honorable Pukose insinuated that the money has been securitized. Yes.
Yes, okay, now.
In the house, I have a lot of respect for my good friend. This House of Records, we are aware all of us are parliamentary practitioners, and the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro is an experienced legislator. When you appear before a parliamentary committee, basically which is an extension of the House, you are expected to abide by all the rules. And therefore, whereas in your appearance, in your responses, you attempt to respond to what a particular member has asked, your obligation is to the entire membership, not to that particular member. To that extent, I request you, because really everything here is unanswered. It is going to be historical. Our brother here, and times change, positions change. Kenya remains. He was our chairman. Tomorrow he may be the Minister for Finance. The other day, because the age is on his side, he may be something even bigger. We must be procedural. Procedural does not mean you are being the mean. So I expected you to say, when I ask a question as a member of parliament for Elders and as a member of this committee, the answer belongs to the entire committee. So that bit, and I know it's not saying that, so that bit I think must be corrected so that what we get is directed at the entire membership, not to the person who has asked, so that we remain procedural. I rest my case, Chairman.
Chair, just on a point of order.
Yes, Vice Chairman.
Chair, I'm not satisfied with the response about my question, because you know, there is what we call evidence-based. And the reason why I was asking is that this is a global phenomenon. From my point of view, even as a medical doctor, we've had outbreaks of Ebola, you've had outbreaks the other day of Corona, yeah? And we borrow evidence from other areas on what they are doing. They are doing immunization. So this is a global phenomenon. And I would expect it, fine, you're an economist, I'm a medical doctor. I would have expected this has not happened anywhere. These are my original proposals, and that would be satisfied, that it has not been done in any other country. I would be satisfied with that answer, yeah? But because once you know we must be able to respect each other's professions. I cannot, if it's an economic question, I'll ask you. If it's a medical question, I'm the expert on that. I'll be able to advise you. So I was asking, just as a layman, where has this happened? These proposals you are coming up with. They look brilliant, but where are they coming from? Are they your original, or you've copied them from somewhere else? That's the question.
Thank you. So, Honorable Ndindi.
Yeah, I think the point raised by the Honorable Kainan is valid, that you are responding to the committee. The questions are not for the individual members who asked them. So please desist from responding in a manner like you are trying to, to respond to the questioner. Let us let your feedback be for the benefit of the entire sitting and the entire committee. Thank you. You can proceed.
Yeah, and I'm well guided. It was just the atmosphere that was there before, and I'll try as much as possible to be objective. But I also request you that even in the asking of the questions, we also be objective. Honorable Vice Chair, these are my original proposals, but there are other countries that have done something about oil prices. Many of them, I just highlight a few. A country like Zambia, they have done something around VAT, and others. However, I have only read that qualitatively. The reasoning for this Honorable Pukose and Chair is that the proposals, where you may need some evidence-based, it is a place where you may not be able to quantify. Now, my proposals are quantifiable because it's only purely about money. It is either money, forfeiting money, or spending money. And that is the reasoning, members, that I didn't find it fit to borrow these proposals from any other country, maybe piecemeal, but not holistic. Yes, they are my original ideas. On the 7 shillings, as far as I'm concerned as a member of parliament, there is no securitization that has happened. Point being, I have asked for these details myself in terms of documents. And as we all say, parliament is a house of records. I have done that as a member of parliament to seek for the details of securitization. I would actually request, if this committee has any document on securitization, they actually share with Kenyans. However, I have gone further because I knew this may come up. I have actually also written to the clerk of the National Assembly in terms of reducing excise tax and duty by Kenya shilling 7. So if there is a handicap in terms of these 7 shillings,
Ndindi,
there is a fallback position. Yes,
Ndindi, you have been doing very well. Since you came, I think you've been. But now, to the extent that you are suggesting that that securitization does not exist, I think that you have moved from a factual appearance before us to a political side. We are sliding to a political side where now you want to start doing politics. I want to persuade you that you continue the same stretch you started, where you are focusing on the facts and the details of how we can help the oil crisis. If you suggest that there has been no securitization in the country, you know that is politics, my friend. So I think, please come back to the stretch of presentation you have been doing, where you have been giving us factual facts on how we can resolve this crisis. Please come back.
Honorable Chair, the thing is actually important. If, for example, today I purport that the country has allocated 1 trillion Kenya shillings to the education sector, I'll come to the budget and pull the allocation. Honorable Chair, with all due respect, the issue of securitization, I have done so. So I'm not even purporting. I have asked Parliament to give me any document there is about securitization. There is none. However, even if we are to jump that bump, the RMLF is 25 shillings. I'm proposing for a cut of 7. Assuming we'll get the documents of securitization, there is still 18 shillings remaining in the RMLF. So that's one arena. The other arena which I have actually done so by writing to the clerk is that we can also explore excise duty. So that if RMLF has been hedged somewhere or used as collateral, then there is a fallback in terms of excise. There was the issue of, Honorable Chair, of the Kenya shillings 10. And to use your words, because Chair, allow me also, because talking is just not listening, is also feeling. The Chair said, and actually to use his words, don't you understand that the Kenya shillings 10 that was talked about in Nairobi, there is an extra 10 shillings that was talked about in Mombasa? Honorable Chair, Honorable Pukose, through the question you asked, I understand fully and completely. Subsidies are given monthly. That is why money is provisioned in the monthly basis. So when I start and say today that the diesel prices will be lower by 10 shillings next month, the base is always before the subsidy. And that is why I say that it was not clear whether it was additional. I have, Chairman, before appearing here, I have gone through the communications, both in Nairobi, as it was made, and in Mombasa by government. I never found the word additional. So if it's 10 shillings is still there as we talk. Because subsidy is given monthly. It's not a law that we make that we have brought down the fuel by 10 shillings. It is money that is provisioned every month from the Fuel Stabilization Fund. So I hope you are on the same page. Whether it is additional or we are persisting with the current 10, only the government can clarify. Honorable Nyakundi, why I never chose to do it as a bill. precisely because it was not my choice. I wrote to Parliament, Parliament chose this route, and I'm happy with it because probably it's shorter. Because as a bill, you know, it will be a money bill. I'll still come back here. And I know the kind of program you have around this time. Honestly, as the budget committee, I don't think you'd have time for money bills at the current timelines. So I would then have to appear before this committee after June. But that was not my decision. I wrote my proposals to Parliament. It is Parliament that chooses the most efficient path. The issue of 7 shillings RMLF, the same answer that I gave. In terms of confidential fund, Honorable Nyakudi, maybe you had pre-programmed the question to ask me before I presented.
Ndindi, the question about that matter was I overruled it. I ruled it. So I don't ignore. Don't comment about it unless you have something on it on your own production.
No, I was just saying maybe he had pre-programmed the question to ask me before even I came. Maybe that's why he asked. I never mentioned that word anywhere, okay. But it could be part of my proposals.
So, thank you. So, members, I think we don't need to take a lot of time. I think we have had a very good conversation. I think I want to make my final submissions. Matia and Honorable Ruth. Honorable Ruth, let's start with you.
Thank you very much, and I would like to say, through the chair, to say that it's very commendable that you are actually looking for a solution for in a situation that is actually really affecting us as Kenyans. But on the 7%, on the 7 shillings levy, I am of the opinion that yes, we do use it for road maintenance, and I don't know whether it's not there or it's there. But I was thinking of something that I would have wanted you to tackle. How about on the Petroleum Development Levy Fund? Because I think that Petroleum Levy Fund is one that actually we should consider even more than how we want to consider this reduction of the 7 shillings of the fuel maintenance levy, because that one has been there and is one that actually has not been used, and I don't know how it's being used, and I think it's something that we need to tackle. The Petroleum Development Levy Fund, I think is one you should consider. I would also want to talk a bit more of the G2G, because as it is, and I'm not saying that I'm against anybody, I hope I'm just saying what my mind is that when we have a fixed price like we do on the G2G, is actually making us have a higher rate than if we, and you know, the fuel prices actually fluctuate. Yeah, and really, when we had the OTS, in the OTS and open tender system, we are able to determine, and sometimes mostly even lower prices for ourselves. So I think that some of those ones, including in what you're saying, might help us more than the VAT that you'd want us to reduce so much, because you know at the moment VAT is a very thorny issue. So maybe those are some of the things on that your presentation. But I must say that much as you're being bashed left and right somewhere or the other, but the fact that you're courageous enough to see that we could get a solution in Kenya is commendable. Thank you.
But as we are dealing with this petroleum issue, the disruption, I mean, the pricing is the end result of the disruption of what we are getting. But listening to many analysts, the biggest problem is not actually the barrel. It is what contributes the components. During the war, we are calling it the Russian and Ukraine. It is the positioning of the map. So if you look at the Strait of Hormuz and all where this war is affecting, it has a heavier component in terms of pricing. And we might not, by the way, we might not solve this problem as long as this war is going on or this problem is going on. Number two, it's about the insurance of the ship. Actually, one of the reasons why we have high prices of petrol or petroleum products, it is not about the dollar barrel. It is the insurance that has been put, because this is about sinking of the ship and all those kind of things. So even as we look for solutions, I think I want to go back to what Honorable Bukosa asked you to benchmark, so that we have a better way of looking at it even if we might not get the solution in good time. Thank you.
Oil away from paraffin, kerosene. Have you thought about reducing these levies on the electricity? Yeah, because as we talk about diesel, petrol, the cost of electricity is also high. And I'm tempted to believe that you are not talking about it because you are personally a beneficiary of the output from Kenya Power. Thank you.
Members, I think let Ndindi respond to those questions, then I'll make the final submission.
About this proposal is a good proposal, but I wanted to hear from our good friend, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. If we reduce these 7 shillings, already we have some contractors who are undertaking the project in the constituencies. What will happen to those projects? Will those projects stop or stall? Because you have told us that this project can be done by domestically funded sector, but even those domestically funded sector, we have already some commitment to the contractors. What will happen to the currently committed project? Will they continue or they will be stored for maybe to be funded in the future? Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, Ndindi, you can respond.
Let me start with my sister, Honorable Ruth. I agree with you 100%, Honorable Ruth, and thank you very much for those kind words. They are very scarce nowadays from people like you and my colleagues. So when I hear one, it's an outlier.
Honorable Ndindi. What do you mean? The political space has been taken over by opposition. Those united opposition where you belong. So what do you mean? Are you not part of that team that is very vicious?
What I mean, Chair, is that when I'm doing these kind of things, I am happy Kenyans are very encouraging. I'm receiving very many messages of encouragement. But to hear some from my colleagues are very rare. And that's why I want to recognize Honorable Ruth for that. And also other members who have commended me privately, like Honorable Naisura.
Chairman, please don't burn our house. Honorable Ndindi, please don't burn our house. Don't burn our house. Proceed.
And I'll be replying to your message even later, Honorable Naisura. So the one for 7 shillings, I agree with you, Honorable Ruth. We need money for road maintenance, and the reason I say that, or in my submission, the budget is in threefold, almost equivalent. There is externally funded, we may not do there much, but there is a domestically funded budget for roads. We can cut off the 7, but then we'll put it through the other route. That's why. In terms of PDL, PDL is where the field stabilization money comes from. So we are still actually invoking it. Because if you look in my proposals, I have also proposing we get an extra 3.5 billion shillings to subsidize diesel further after these measures, so that diesel will be cheaper. So that is also in part of the proposal, but we can go further through your guidance. In terms of G2G, I may not answer here because it can be, but because you asked if the chair permits, I can go ahead. G2G, I share your opinions that we should open up the field. G2G makes our fuel more expensive.
Honorable Ndindi,
yes.
I don't know whether I need to guide because your appearance with this committee is purely for the sake of looking at the revenue and expenditure side of the estimate. The policy issues to do with G2G, because those are policies that were taken elsewhere, in which this committee has actually no mandate. So I would like to urge you to just restrict your submissions and responses to the revenue and the expenditure aspects of of your recommendations?
OTS is under
I'm guided, but it's only that it came up, but I'll shelve it to the right place.
I think I'll urge my sister Ruth to direct that question to the right section, that department, maybe Department of Energy, Committee of Energy.
Energy Committee.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. And before I go to the next one, thank you very much, Honorable Ruth. At least I know I have one supporter in the floor. Honorable Jamatia.
You're forgetting Naisula also.
Naisula is obvious. Honorable Jamatia, the solution that we are giving in terms of pricing, as I have shelved what I wanted to say, the jokes we used to have back then, because this is a very serious matter. We'll joke over the break time. In terms of Honorable Jamatia's question, pricing of fuel in Kenya is a component of majorly two things. One is the landing cost. The second is taxes and levies. And actually the third is margins, profit margins for importers and marketers. If you take in, for example, super, landing cost, we are talking about 117 shillings. Taxes and levies, 74 shillings. Margins is around 17 shillings. The other ones are small levies. Now, in a non-oil producing country, you can deal with two things. Some are talking about one is static. It's not. You can deal with the landing cost if you are a non-oil producing country. And you can deal with the landing cost based on where are you sourcing the oil and which model are you using to source the oil. That is why if you look at the landing cost of the Kenyan fuel, it is higher than the other regional economies. So that's one. Because the way we are sourcing it makes our landing cost more expensive. The second thing is taxes and levies.
Yes, point of order by Honorable Jamatia.
We are Honorable Ndindi. We are here because of disruption caused by the war. And one of the biggest hindrance is insurance. So that is why, even if you want to deal with the landing, that one I'm okay. But the insurance on the shipping and the ship itself is what has costed this problem. So we are looking at, and look at the distance, and look at the situation that comes with it, so that we will look at the solution by not only looking at what we have, but also the worldview.
For that clarification, what I meant, Honorable, is that there is a lot we can do in terms of landing cost, sourcing cheaply. There is a lot we can do in terms of taxes and levies, and there is also definitely something we can do about lowering the margins of the people involved. However, on the insurance and disruption is already embedded in the current oil prices globally. It is already internalized. The reason why the barrel of oil has moved from $60 per barrel to closer to $100 per barrel is because of internalizing those disruptions and costs associated. That maybe ship somewhere may have to travel for a longer distance. That's already embedded. And that's why the prices of oil are higher. So these are not extra costs over and above the global oil prices. They are already embedded in the current oil prices as we see them. Honorable Aseka talked about levies in terms of electricity. I actually hope that was a joke, but what happens, Honorable Aseka, because you are my friend, there are shares you bought for Equity Bank when I was chairman of budget. You are never called when Equity Bank is increasing our interest rates for the loans we take. That is the nature of our stock market here in Kenya. That minority shareholders, you are spectators. I am neither a director nor nothing. And also I call upon all of us here as members of parliament, let's love our country. Instead of making money and hiding it in Dubai and other havens, let us invest in companies here in Kenya without hiding our identities and the nominee accounts. And I read that talk. We inspire our capital markets by showing Kenyans that we have faith in our country. We may not have faith in the government, but we cannot lose faith in our country.
Chair. Our Chair Emeritus, you support the VAT on electricity. You support electricity on levies, April levies. You support forex levies. You support delivery levies, inflation levies on electricity, but you don't support those levies on oil. Declare your interest.
Okay. Chairman, Honorable Ndindi, let me say something. Maybe just to reframe this question the way I understood it. I believe and I'm persuaded that the reason why you are here is to look for solutions so that Kenyans can have can lower their cost of living. That is one. You want Kenyans to have affordable fuel. So would you want Kenyans? Would you not want Kenyans to also have affordable electricity? Yes. Why do you want Kenyans only to enjoy cheaper fuel but not cheaper electricity? This is something that you would consider, given that the prices of electricity is going up. Would you also try to give us solutions for that? Thank you. You can now respond.
Chairman, to answer it with the same words that you asked, I am glad that you have given me so much responsibilities as members of parliament that I can deal with all the matters that affect all our constituencies. I am one of the 290 members of parliament, and I am glad I'll do even the one for electricity if none of the members can do it. However, the way I got the question from Honorable Aseka was actually a banter in terms of, it is out in the public domain. I have some shares in Kenya Power. It is in that length that he asked. It's not actually about electricity. It's my being a shareholder in Kenya Power. And I threw it back to him because he's also very intelligent. Now that you have shares in Equity Bank and they increase our interest rates, do they consult you, Honorable Aseka? Secondly, I was just trying to say that minority shareholders, and I am proudly one in Kenyan companies, is that we do our research and buy shares, but we don't do that as majority stake shareholders where you have to be involved in the running of the company. And I want to say this for avoidance of doubt. I am very proud to be part and parcel of our capital markets. Not just Equity Bank, even other listed companies in our NSC. So that all of us as leaders should know that our economy needs whatever small resources that we have. Instead of hiding our money in tax havens in Dubai and elsewhere, we grow our own capital markets. And we don't hide our names at our nominee accounts. We actually buy through our names. I am proudly so. However, on the part of electricity, I think just like any other Kenyan and as a legislature, it makes all the sense. However, Chairman, just 1 minute. I would seek that members actually take time so that we don't become superficial. And it's not in bad faith. I'm just trying to look for the solution. In terms of electricity pricing, we need to hit the nail at the head. The current situation of Kenya, the electricity prices are higher in Kenya than most in the region based on one thing. And that one thing is called cost of production. You have Kenyan using electricity at a third of what some of the IPPs are paid. IPPs are independent power producers. And as you all know here, these are politically connected individuals who own these companies. So Kenyans are made to pay a tax for higher tax production of electricity just because we are feeding into some political system. So if you look at the segmentation of what we end up paying, after Kenya Power collects the money, the profit margin of the district, not the profit margin, out of 100 shillings, their revenue could be around 20%. Most of the money goes to producers. If we actually need to handle this issue head on, we must deal with the issue of production.
Thank you.
Honorable John Paul, lastly.
Honorable Ndindi, I think we can summarize.
Honorable John Paul.
Thank you.
Chairman, point of order. The question which is being raised is that area of electricity as a need also, that is what Honorable Aseka is raising. Do you see it as a need to have a reduction in prices of electricity, or you are only seeing the need to reduce fuel and not electricity?
I think Honorable Ndindi, that matter has been answered comprehensively. I want to propose that you respond to the question by Honorable John Paul, then I make my final submissions, then we close.
Thank you. I would request you just half a minute on Honorable Secretary General's question. I see the need of electricity. I have answered it exhaustively. Maybe that is the pitfall of having premeditated questions, which were made before I came, so that we have to ask them even when they are answered.
Honorable Ndindi, Honorable Ndindi again.
That is very unfair.
That is very derogatory because this is Parliament, and I believe that Kenyans have elected their representatives to come to Parliament, and they are here to represent their members. So there's nobody who's been sent here by any other force other than their voters. So I think that one, I believe you've gone out of the stretch. So members, can we agree that this is enough, that we've done enough sufficient submission? Oh, sorry. Lily, I think we give you less than a minute so that you can close.
Thank you very much. Honorable John, 7 shillings. We need the roads.
Honorable Lily, please finish. Just proceed.
On the contractors,
Okay, then I'll give you time. I'll give you some time later. Let him respond to that question. Okay, Honorable Kenan, ask your question. Please use the microphone.
What we have in this procedure, you may not see the need today. The answer idea might be of evidential value at a date and time when you don't even anticipate, because these are house of rules. So mine is purely procedural. If in your wisdom, as the chair, and you enjoy delegated authority, like that of the speaker, you have had my good friend imputing an improper motive on the member of Tongaran. And superficially, you have asked my brother here to desist from that route. What I expected you to do at this juncture is for the withdrawal and expansion of that particular statement from the proceedings of the committee. Otherwise, you are our chair.
Thank you. Honorable Kenan, you know the speaker does not have eyes. The speaker does not see. So I agree with you.
And persistently to use the word premeditate. Didn't even go to school. We can't think.
Listen.
We sit here to premeditate.
Honorable Chikati, I agree with Honorable Kenan that I have noted his eyes on that particular pronouncement by the Honorable Ndindi. Honorable Ndindi, please, on that aspect, could you kindly withdraw?
Honorable Chair, when I came, Honorable Nyakudi asked the wrong question for my presentation. The question of electricity has been asked by the 4 members, and I have actually answered. And therefore, it leaves me with no other alternative than to think, as I had been briefed before by some of you, that there were questions premeditated for me. And therefore, I can't withdraw an obvious thing.
Honorable Ndindi, you know that is parliamentary. And that would cause us to disrupt this sitting, which we really need to close in a way that it was started. So if you insist on, using unparliamentary language on your colleagues, respective colleagues, because these are members,
I want to again persuade you
to at least give his elector some respect by, removing the insinuation that he was given questions to come and ask you. I don't think that is the right position. Please withdraw that one, then we proceed.
For the respect, let me paraphrase. Honorable Chikati, I had answered the question. And therefore, I will withdraw the previous assertion.
Thank you. Now you can finish you can respond to the question by Honorable John Paul.
Honorable John Paul was about 7 shillings, which I've also answered. about having contractors on the roads. I have, and I want to repeat here again and again, there is no document anywhere in Parliament about securitization. So it is, we read it on news just the same way other members read it. Secondly, RMLF is 25 shillings. I'm proposing 7. There is still an 18 shillings remaining. So there is a lot of room. Very lastly, Chair, because I think these are my closing remarks, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to have appeared before the Budget and Appropriations Committee. And also, I want to also to underline that you are all colleagues and I respect every one of you. And even in the start of this discussion, I was just trying to answer the questions based on the temperatures that had been thrown to me. But I'm glad that at the end of the day, we have been able to listen to each other and to hear my objective proposals. I request you, members, I know many times we are divided politically based on where we lean, but I want to request you, this issue of fuel is not just affecting the people of Kiharu. It is representing the people of the entire country. The issue is about the trade-off. We let the prices go up, they spiral, they affect the economy, or we do something about it and arrest the cost of living going forward. I beseech all of us that we start on the side of Kenyans. We look for solutions to lower fuel prices because it is possible and it is still in our purview. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Just to say that the prices is not affecting the people of Kiharu. Are you aware that even these prices is not affecting the Republic of Kenya only, but it is the whole world?
Thank you. Honorable Ndindi, I think that is how can I say? So what I wanted to say, Honorable Ndindi, is that I have looked at your proposal to us globally in terms of the effect it will have on the revenues, projected revenues. And I have seen that if we do implement what you have proposed, then we have to take a haircut of about 82.4 billion annually. And in 6 months, we have to take about 41.2 billion. This would mean about 2.8% of our projected revenue that we are going to lose. You have been the chairman of budget and you know the process of coming up with these estimates, which actually starts very far from the sector meetings, sector working groups, and etc. And to this extent, I want to tell you, because we've been going through the BPS and all this, I want to tell you that there is really no place for us to cut. Even if we try to cut, we will not find anywhere to cut. We have cut our development allocation by about 100 billion. So from where you sit as a former chairman of budget, where would you propose that we cut? Because if we are to do this, if we are to engage in this process, we are to implement your proposal, these losses, we'll have to get them from somewhere. The other alternative we have is to affect our fiscal deficit, which, as you know, also is quite steep. So I wanted to just, as you finalize, what do you want us to do? What do you think should work, so that you advise the committee to see what we can do? Because sincerely speak to you and tell you that cut 100 billion off the budget, we were not able to do it at all. Some of the development programs that are also happening in your constituency and all the parts of the country.
I was actually to request the clerk to assign for me one person from the Parliamentary Budget Office so that we aggregate the proposals that I have. I actually have proposals that can save the expenditure side of 100 billion shillings. One area that I'm targeting is that we have to decimate completely, almost completely, foreign travel. And foreign travel here, I mean for everyone. As members of parliament leading the way, the executive and the judiciary. Second is that desperate times like this calls for all of us to have haircuts. And therefore, Honorable Chair, it will not be proper for me to name the other two without saying that the same constituents being affected by oil are the same that we serve. So CDF also has to sit around 2 billion shillings. The other thing, Honorable Chair, is something called O&M. And I don't want to sensationalize this meeting, but I know as much as you know. As the media has covered, and I have actually gone and tabulated, there are offices that are getting inordinately higher budget than previously. Our leaders, the top offices, namely State House, has to also lead the way. The last one, where we can get flesh, fat without even cutting the flesh, leave around the bone. Chairman, as I look at you direct in your eyes, because you are brothers, you know areas in the budget that has gotten increment of over 25% this financial year alone. And because I don't want to sensationalize, I'll hand over to you specifics. I have actually tabulated over 100 billion Kenya shillings we can save out of the expenditure side. And you know what I'm saying. But if you want me to go direct and name it here, I'll do that.
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, thank you very much for your submissions. I will await I will designate budget office to sit down with you to see if those proposals you are making would make sense to this committee. Otherwise, I think members, you've listened to Ndindi Nyoro. I think the best thing now we'll do as the committee is to retreat back and look at those proposals and then maybe vote on them and see which ones we can carry the day. With members of budget committee on any proposal that you have. Thank you. The meeting is at.
I will update you guys. Okay. Yeah. Are we coming back? No. Let's go for now.